center of the gathering of savages, then veered toward the boulder where the old man sat and drew his blocky pistol. The soldier was tall, with black hair. His eyes were close set and glittered with a bitter fury. His cheeks were densely bearded. Even from several feet away, Sally could detect the reek of corn liquor. Barking a command, the soldier waved his pistol for Sally to rise. The old man pulled himself to his feet, and his boys ran to his side. The other three soldiers were a motley collection who more resembled vagabonds than disciplined fighting men. Having mastered a few English phrases, Sally's eldest son took charge of the interchange. This sergeant was hereby ordering Sally and his family to pack whatever belongings they could carry and make ready for a month's journey. For what reason? Sally demanded. By order of President Andrew Jackson and the Congress of the United States, the sergeant replied. You and your people will accompany us to the Bushnell Stockade, where you will remain until such time as you begin your march westward. Sally began to protest, but the sergeant jumped down from his horse and rammed his pistol into Sally's stomach, while the other soldiers grinned and aimed their rifles at the family of Cherokees. You will do as instructed, or die where you stand. After gathering bundles of possessions, Sally and his family followed the orders of Sergeant Matthew Trabue, the bearded man with the narrow face and eyes of volcanic rock. Later, as they trudged away from their home, his son stared at Sally, awaiting his command. Were they going to surrender to these loutish men, be marched away to the slaughterhouse without a fight? Sally made no move to resist, but plodded forward with his eyes on the rocky path before him. After only a mile or so, Sally's wife, a heavy woman, lagged behind, and Trabue, who had been steadily sipping from his flask, jabbed the old woman in the back with his bayonet to hurry her along. She fell to the ground, bleeding, while the soldiers hooted at their sergeant's antics. Sally managed to hide his anger as he tended his wife's injury, then hoisted her to her feet and helped her forward down the trail. As they marched, Sally whispered to his sons, telling them to ready themselves for attack. They would take the soldiers' guns and drive them away. A mile or so later, when the soldiers were joking among themselves, Sally motioned to the boys, and they drew knives from their bundles and threw themselves on the four military men. In his haste and drunkenness, one soldier discharged his rifle by accident and blew off the side of his own face. He fell from his saddle, mortally wounded. As the sergeant took hasty aim on the eldest boy, Sally dragged the big man from his horse, and in one swift stroke drove his axe into the man's forehead, breaking open his skull as cleanly as a ripe gourd. The other two soldiers tore away from their attackers and fled. In the sergeant's fall to the ground, a tin locket on a strip of rawhide came loose from around his neck. Sally's son retrieved it and handed it to his father. Inside the tin heart was the miniature portrait of a young woman. She was round-faced, and her hair was worn in tight curls around her painted face. To Sally, the woman's toothy smile resembled the cheap, beckoning look of the barroom strumpets he had seen in the white man's settlements. Sally closed the locket and placed it on the dead soldier's breast. Bloodied and weak from the struggle, Sally stood on that trail, a half-day's walk from his home, and absorbed the certain fact that he and his family were now forever exiled from their ancestral land. With few choices open to him, Sally determined they must strike out at once for the nearby peaks, which were honeycombed with caves. There they would hide themselves until some future time, when this difficulty had passed. In the following days, they hunted the abundant game and harvested the late-season crab-apples and berries. Twice they heard shouts from distant soldiers searching below them on the mountainside, but on neither occasion did a white man come closer than a half-day's walk to their hideaway. Later still, the weather turned gray and cold. Fog and rain thickened the air. The men's hunting skills provided a steady supply of fresh game, while the girls wove baskets and ornaments to decorate their rock-walled home. They were determined to outlast the white man, live in what peace they could manage. One frigid morning, as the family was awaking, a stranger appeared in the mouth of the cave. Sally's sons scrambled for their weapons, but the Cherokee man showed his empty palms. He meant no harm. He had been searching for